Hello everybody, it's Joe here, and welcome to my F1 2017 career mode, rebooted. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, but Joe, you started a career mode on F1 2017 and never finished it. And you'd be right, I never did finish it. In fact, I got pretty much 2/3 of the way through Season 2 and I never went back to it. But it's been over 7 years now, blimey, it makes me feel ancient, since I last did it, and I thought to myself, should I carry it on, or should I just reboot the whole thing and restart it? So that's what I'm doing, instead of trying to work out where I was, trying to somehow simulate the championship order being the way it was, and what have you. I've just decided to reboot. And for Season 1, I will be racing exactly where I raced for the first season of my original career mode on this game, which is McLaren. I've no idea what I'll be doing for Season 2 yet, whether I'll go to Renault like I did, or maybe break off and go in a different direction, just to show that this is a whole new career mode of its own, and just take it in a different direction to the one I originally went in. So for now, we are going to start with McLaren Honda and start it the way my original career mode started, with Alonso as our teammate. So let's begin.
Yes, and I respect that. But my client has a championship to contest. So if you want our participation, I'm afraid the concessions are mandatory. Yes, that's fine. Get back to me when you can. Goodbye. No one ever just signs the contract. Anyway, thanks for coming by on such short notice. I just needed to cover a couple of quick things with you before you race. Firstly, as requested, is a copy of your contract. It's a rolling deal. However, the team reserves right of termination if you fail to meet performance standards. You're second driver for now, but work hard, hit your targets, and I'll be able to sweeten the deal. I'm also looking to get you into some invitational events throughout the season. The experience and exposure from these will be great for your image. Plus, you'll get to drive some nice historic cars. Now then, go get ready for the next session, and good luck.
You got my message. Perfect. Welcome to home away from home. We get more real-time data from the factory now than ever before, and it all comes through here. So I have to spend more time checking over the reports and less time hunting you down in the hospitality suite. To that end... Sorry, just a sec. Yeah, Chris, is this important? I'm in the middle of something. Okay. Right. Well, that makes no sense. Have Sarah reset the simulation and run it again. Okay. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we've set up a desk for you at the front here. You can get onto the network from your laptop, so make sure to check the R&D screen regularly. And let us know how you want to use the data that we've collected over the weekend and through the practice programs. Also, bear in mind that the news from the factory won't always be good. Sometimes tests fail, like you've seen just now. And when that happens, we have to divert additional resources to fix it. C'est la vie, I'm afraid.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
So I thought I'd include all the original cutscenes as well, but here we are. It's the first weekend of this career mode. It's the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne, Albert Park, the great place for the race. And it's weird because I'm used to the season opener being in Bahrain from all the previous games in the 20s before it started being Melbourne again in 2025. But as you can see, this is the old edition of Melbourne, with this corner here being a bit tighter than what they've done now. And obviously you've got the different corners up ahead after the chicane. So far then, ooh, nearly losing it. I'm really pushing the limits of this car. But the one thing I've found with this McLaren Honda is that in a straight line, it is an absolute dog. It is a tractor. I could probably get out and walk it and be faster than this McLaren goes in a straight line. But we're going to make do with it for a season and see what we can make of it. And as we head to the outside apex, it's really not been a great lap. In fact, we're over 3 seconds off. We have made up some ground in the middle, in the second lap, however, and it is a stronger second lap, over a second quicker. So we really got everything together for this lap, but I don't feel like I could have done anything more than this lap that I put together. However, unfortunately for us, as we watched the session come to an end, I hoped it'd be enough. It just wasn't. 13th place for now, 14th, and then you see it flash to 16th before. Yeah, unfortunately for us, we did not make it out of Q1, but still a solid effort. Let's see what we can do in the race.
It's out with the old and in with the new here at Albert Park as we usher in what we hope will be a triumphant new era of Formula One racing. For our drivers, though, it's very much business as usual, as they look to be first across that line and get their championship off to a winning start. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. Today's race, of course, not simply the start of a new season, but the start of a new kind of Formula One. Anthony Davidson, great to have you with us once again. This is a big moment for the sport. Big changes to the technical regulations. The potential, perhaps, to give us the biggest shake-up since 2014. Very different cars visually and, fingers crossed, much faster as well.
Good thing then that combined these teams put in just a shade over 13,000 kilometres on the clock during testing. The cornering speed of these new machines is absolutely unbelievable. How many lap records are still held by Michael Schumacher from 2004? Well, on the right day, on the right tyres, we might just be threatening them this year. Wider tyres, wider cars, more downforce. I have to say they look great, and the qualifying spectacle is undebatable. Now the big question remains, can they follow? Can they race? Or have these new rules gone too far?
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Verstappen, Perez, Kvyat, Ocon, and Nico Hülkenberg, Massa, Sainz, Romain Grosjean, and Alonso, Magnussen, And a McLaren, Jolyon Palmer and Lance Stroll, Wehrlein, and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
A lot of different names and of that to the F1 25 game. But it's a blast of the past, and this rebooted career mode is underway. It's a decent start off the line, but on our left it's Jolyon Palmer, who's now moved over to the right. He's going to take the inside along with Lance Stroll. We've dropped down to P18, leaving only the Saubers of Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson behind us as we now head towards turn 3. I'm looking up the inside to see if we can outbrake Palmer while he's being backed up, and Palmer sticking to the outside. We're on the inside though. Now we're going around the outside, and we have beautifully made it around the outside of Palmer and moving up into P17. Next up is the Williams of Lance Stroll, heading round the tighter corner for the first time. Oh my days, this is the game. I tell you what, it handles differently to the new F1 game. We're sending it down the inside. Stroll, look at that, taking the outside around the corner that no longer exists in modern configurations. But we're now heading towards the end of the first lap of this career mode. Vettel in the Ferrari leading the way. That's a reference to how they used to call him Vettel in commentary. But Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari leading the way, and we're now trying to chase down Lance Stroll for P16 in the Williams. He's taken a bit of a funky line there, and that's allowing us to get closer to the Williams. We're going to try and take a look down the inside again. We are taking a look down the inside again. I've left him space on the left, but he's electing not to use it, and we move back into P16. So a nice move on Stroll. We're back to where we started now, and it's time to think about settling down into the race. We've got a yellow flag ahead, and that is Felipe Massa in the Williams, I believe, blowing up, and his Williams has decided that it's had enough of this Australian Grand Prix. Massa pulling over to the side. That's a shame. It seemed like he was doing all right in this opening race of the season, but we're now chasing down teammate Fernando Alonso, who is on the soft tyres. We're on the super softs, so we're going to be that little bit quicker for now as we dive down the inside of our teammate. He's fighting this one more than I think he should, given that he is on the harder tyre. But we've moved up now into P14, and we're now chasing down Kevin Magnussen. 3 laps in, and there's already been quite a bit of wheel-to-wheel action and the retirement of Felipe Massa. And as we now go on to lap 5, we're trying to close ourselves down on Kevin Magnussen, as well as, like I said, just settling ourselves into the Grand Prix. It's going to be a long race ahead, and now we're having a look up the inside of Magnussen. We're not going to make it in turn 1, but if we can get a nice run out of 1 and 2, we're going to be right on the back of Magnussen, and hopefully we can use the slipstream to our advantage. Moving to the inside, diving down the inside. That is a beautiful textbook manoeuvre there on Kevin Magnussen. Let's see it again. Just down the inside we go, and that is up into P13 and chasing down the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz. Meanwhile, we've got a Ferrari slowing down. That's our race leader, Kimi Raikkonen, pulling over to retire from this opening race. That brings out the virtual safety car, which slows things down just a little bit. We have had some of the leaders pitting in quite early as well, and I forgot just how flexible the AI can be on strategy in this game. More cars in the pits at the end of lap 7 as well, so there's going to be a few 2-stoppers in this race. We're going for the 1-stopper, so I'm hoping that we can bring ourselves close to or towards points, especially if, like I said, there are quite a few 2-stoppers. That is advantage us, but I'm just going to eat these tyres out and try and get us into a 1-stop range. We're now getting very close to Carlos Sainz. Are we going to be able to have a look down the inside here? No. Sainz just covers that straight off, shuts the door in our face, and we've now got Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari right behind us and ready to fight. I should not really fight him too much because we're not really racing him. However, I am going to fight him because this is pride on the line. Running P3 in this first career mode race. I'm covering the inside. Vettel's having a look. I've gone a bit deep actually trying to cover that, but Vettel backs out of that one, and he's now going to have a look down the inside of 3, but again I'm going to try and cover the outside. Vettel's down the inside. We bang wheels side by side here. I'm keeping my car alongside, and we've made contact again into the right-hander, and there's a touch from Vettel, and round we go! And Vettel going into us again. That's going to be front wing damage. And somebody, I think, drove into the wall. But what happened there? Because I thought he was backing out. So as we take the corner, he still put his car up the inside. And that's us round. You can see it here now. He was not quite alongside as we went into the corner. So I put that as a racing incident myself. And there's a car that drives into the wall in sympathy. That brings out the full safety car, so that's allowing me to make my one and only pit stop in this race. It is going to be quite a long stint on the soft tyres, that's for sure, but I think we can pull this off. It's also interesting to see the different tyre compounds they've got in this game, because you've got the ultra soft, super softs and the softs in this race. But it's very different as it goes on. They don't do this C1, C6 stuff anymore. Anyway, a decent pit stop for us, and now we resume in P16, but with no pit stops left to make. And it's actually Carlos Sainz in the Toro Rosso that is leading the way in this Grand Prix at the moment. We're now resuming this race. The safety car is in, and we are once again go, go, go as we head towards turn 1. Nobody really doing anything as we head to turn 1, but as we head a bit later around the lap, Valtteri Bottas is taking Carlos Sainz for the lead in that rocket ship Mercedes. Sainz with nothing really he can do about that. I think there was a Renault there near the top as well having an interesting fight. Here comes Vettel again to the inside. It's a carbon copy of what we've just had. I'm keeping my car more up the inside line, and this time Vettel backs out. He actually does back out, so we're able to take the corner without another collision, and we've got a big scrap up ahead. Stroll, Ericsson and another car all having their epic fight in this midfield, and we're going to try and take the inside of Lance Stroll. And for the second time in this race, we pass Lance Stroll at that exact corner. And now Vettel is coming back at us again. But there's not going to be anything doing for us this time, as Vettel makes it round the outside and this time completes the move for P14. But I think, again, everybody else has got a pit stop to make. We do not. So we're actually in quite a good position here, as we now set up this overtake on Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber for P14. We are nicely looking down the inside, hard on the brakes. That's the move done. Up into P14 we go. We're now currently running 6th, as some of the other drivers have now started making their pit stops. But Daniel Ricciardo is now on my left. He is now through. He was going to get through anyway. There was no sense really in trying to hold him back. That was inevitable. He's got new tyres. Our tyres are slightly less than new, so no real sense in fighting that one as we go a little bit deep there, finding lines that just are not the racetrack, and Max Verstappen is the next driver that'll catch us. But how far up the field can I make it? Because we're P4 now. We do have another driver, I think, in the pits. I believe that's Lewis Hamilton. So that puts us back into P3 and puts us on for a potential podium in this debut race if we can hold back some very fast cars on new tyres for 9 laps. I'm not really thinking that that's possible. And if anything, Verstappen's trying to go around the outside of 3. But we're holding it for now. But I feel like there's a certain inevitability about this. And that Verstappen is going to have us sooner than later. But I would like to hold on for as long as we can. I'm taking the inside, Verstappen to the outside. And Max Verstappen going for it. And he's making it work. Verstappen, unfortunately for us, able to take that P3 away from us. That's a bit of a desperate lunge, isn't it? That was never going to work in a month for Sundays. But Verstappen up to P3 now, so it's a Red Bull 2-3. That's very competitive for them, given, if I remember correctly, the 2017 Red Bull wasn't really up to much, so they're going quite nicely. I've got Lewis Hamilton behind me now on ultra soft tyres, and he's going to be ultra quick on them ultra softs as I go a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Hamilton to close right up. And again, there's a sort of inevitability about this. I am going to try and cover the inside, but look at Hamilton. Look at the momentum he has on my right. I've got on the grass anyway, and that is Lewis Hamilton through. I was ambitious to try and hold on to that. I didn't quite have the grip to do it. Another cheeky lunge up the inside, which Hamilton sees coming and doesn't even flinch at shutting the door in our face. So we're back in the P5 at the moment. We do have a car slowing down in front of us though, so that might help us gain a position. And no sooner has he overtaken us as he retired. That's Lewis Hamilton out of the race now. 3 cars down, and we've got 17 left. They're dropping like flies here in Melbourne, and there's a lot of flies about as Carlos Sainz begins closing in on us. And this is going to be a Sauber slowing down. That's Marcus Ericsson pulling out of the race as well. So 4 cars now out. How many are going to make the end? And with just over 2 laps to go, Carlos Sainz and Sebastian Vettel are all over me. Vettel has caught a whole pit stop on us, which just shows how slow this McLaren is. Sainz is looking to the inside. I'm covering Vettel. Sainz diving down the inside and getting that done. I jammed on the brakes in case he came back across. But Carlos Sainz moving into P4 as we now cover Sebastian Vettel in Sector 1 once again. And Carlos Sainz on lap 28 of 29 moving into P4. I am going to try as hard as I can, no matter how futile, to defend the top 5 position. Oh, we've gone wide again though, and Vettel is all over me here. He's going to have a look to the outside because I'm covering the inside line. And is he going to make it through here? No, he doesn't. We're just able to cover it off on this final lap. And literally less than 2.5 miles now separates us and P5. And 10 points. What a finish that'd be if we can hold on to it. But Vettel is climbing all over the rear of the car. And Bottas takes the first win of this season. But can Vettel get some good points for Ferrari here? He's all over the rear of me. He is all there. And he's taking a look to the outside now. Is he going to make that one? Look at that! Sebastian Vettel round the outside. We've gone into him. I was going to try and up and under him as he got slower on the inside. But he braked and kind of caught me out. And that's damaged my wing. We've got Perez and Kvyat battling behind us. But it's going to be P6 for us, I think. That's not too shabby in the debut, but I would have liked a top 5. However, P6, still a great result. Still one to be proud of. And what an opening race that was. If the races are going to be that active and that dramatic, I'll take another 20 of these, please.
Brilliant stuff from Mercedes today. That's another historic win. Anthony, what do you think made the difference here?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Valtteri Bottas takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after an excellent result. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Today, I'm going to give it to the McLaren driver. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern-day Formula One.
On to the constructors then. Red Bull moved to the top of the table. After all this drama, you'd be mad not to join us for the next race. We hope to see you then. Take care.
So that's the results. Bottas, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Sainz, Vettel, myself, Kvyat, Perez, Ocon and Grosjean completing the top 10. Well, thank you for watching this opening instalment of this rebooted F1 2017 career mode. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care, guys.